Hello everyone, my name is Siddiqui and I am going to be presenting on user interaction with information retrieval systems. The focus of this presentation is going to be on personalization in search results and interface design. As we all know, the reason a person turns to a search engine, going through the process of typing a query and sorting through results, is because they have an information need or a gap in knowledge that they want to fill. While the users may not necessarily be aware of the gap, but selecting the relevant documents and rejecting others proves that there is a need, that they're looking for something particular. The mechanism of an information retrieval system is such that it gives the users documents that are most likely to satisfy their need. This way, the results get personalized based on a user's interests. For instance, if we type Albany, based on a location, the results would be for Albany, New York, instead of Albany, Georgia. Now we move on to the topic of personalization in search results. Personalization makes use of user models developed according to algorithms. With better results, this aims to improve the overall user experience with the search browser. Users can save time and energy by avoiding having to sort through ambiguous results. Because the list of documents retrieved by the search engine is shorter, there is also less pressure on the browser memory. The click-through data of a user can tell us which advertisements are more popular and likely to generate higher sales. Based on this, the popular advertisements will be ranked higher, targeting users likely to click on the links and make purchases. This would thereby increase the profit for browser and the advertising company. In this section, we will look at some of the approaches adopted for personalizing information. We can make use of either explicit preferences or implicit cues from the user. I will first talk about explicit preferences, which, as the term implies, involve some participation on the user's behalf. Individually, users can customize alerts they would like to receive. They can also read documents according to personal relevance, which would help to generate an interest profile for the user. On the other hand, collective preferences can be acquired by techniques such as collaborative filtering. Collaborative filtering is a social recommendation method in which a person can assign preference scores to documents. Following this, the user gets matched to a network of people with shared interest. Pages of interest from this network will be recommended to the user in future. A similar methodology is also adopted for item-based collective recommendation, which is used by websites such as Amazon.com. When the users view or purchase an item, Amazon gives them suggestions of what other buyers with similar purchases have bought. So these are some of the methods for explicit user recommendation. Next, we will talk about personalization using implicit preferences observed from user behavior. This primarily comprises of using the search history of the user, which can be used to build a user profile and send future alerts. Document reading time is another feature that could determine the relevancy of a document. It is believed that users would spend longer time reading a page only if they find it interesting. The search history can be further combined with PageRank to reorder results. This would give a user-specific PageRank or a personalized PageRank, which, according to a study by Key and Cho, is more effective than topical PageRanks. Sometimes, the click history is combined with other factors, such as category labels for improving results. Another useful factor for determining implicit preference is click-through data. Click-through data is basically analyzing user clicks on document summaries. One thing that must be noted about click-through data is that because it uses previous click history, the method is useful only for those items which have been already viewed by the user. Further, explicit and implicit systems can be combined such that the user may be asked to state their goals and then recommendations are based on those goals. Netflix seems to be a good example of this. Also, personal assistants like Siri can help with recommending information, which is again a combination of the implicit and explicit preference cues. So far, we have talked about personalization and the various approaches adopted for better information retrieval. While personalization is undoubtedly useful, there are some concerns surrounding the methods that need to be addressed. Hurst has pointed out that a user generally has both long-term and stable interests and a short-term temporary interest. This temporary curiosity could be completely unrelated or even contradictory to regular search patterns. Regardless of this, we want the search engine to continue giving relevant results. This may be a challenge for the IR system designer. Therefore, the accuracy of the user model is of prime importance. A related challenge for the search engine is trying to comprehend a user's thought process. What was it that made them select the third link when, based on rankings, link 2 has more answers to the query? Perhaps the documents were exactly the same, or maybe the user model skipped some essential feature. Again, the user model needs to be tried and tested for accuracy before implementation. Aside from this, user privacy is a big concern in acceptance for information retrieval systems. As we saw in the previous slides, browser history is commonly used for making recommendations. Location is another aspect that generates user-centered results, which are pretty accurate most of the time. However, most users do not like the idea of being tracked by the browser. These trade-offs need to be managed. We need to take measures to reassure the user population that their information is in secure hands. Thus far, we have been discussing information retrieval practices and approaches that would help in giving the users the most relevant results to satisfy their needs. However, it must be recognized that when it comes to acquiring and using the information, retrieval is actually a small part of the process. Users must be able to analyze that the information they are getting is in fact pertinent to their needs and also be able to reform their queries for better results. To achieve this, a good interface is crucial. Ideally, system design must integrate the navigation and search features using categories to narrow down and group documents. Prompting the user query terms dynamically, that is, as they are typing, is another way the interface can offer assistance, something which is commonly observed in Google. These suggestions are also helpful for reformulating the queries. The challenge here, however, is limiting the automation. The interface can make suggestions, but it should not be at the cost of users being unable to formulate their queries. In most cases, it is observed that the query results of a search engine are in the form of document summaries which are linked to the pages. These summaries typically comprise of the page title, its URL with links, and a snippet. Snippets are a short summary that contain fragments of text from the page. Generally, the terms identical to the query are highlighted, which is an example of a query-dependent summary. Some snippets are query-independent as they use features such as text positioning in a page. This is where the page metadata is helpful, as it tells us about the headings and emphasized words. The snippets is mostly focused on the query topic, which can help in forming topical clusters. The clusters improve efficiency of the results. It must be noted that most clusters are based on text present in the summary and not the full text of the document. This again highlights how valuable snippets are for efficient query results. In this slide, I will talk about some guidelines for snippets that can help maximize their efficiency. First of all, as it is nearly impossible to give a summary or count of all the terms in the document, the terms selected must be related to the query. It is not necessary that all the terms match. Slight variations or even synonymous words could be used. It is more important that users can relate to the terms. The same is also true for URLs. The selected URLs must emphasize the relationship to the query. The next consideration is the content of the summary. It has been observed that users prefer snippets with grammatically complete and readable text as opposed to fragments or just keywords. So the text selected to display should be concise, related to the query, and also readable. Finally, the hyperlinks used in snippets, as well as within the text, should form an easy-to-follow trail. This implies that the links should guide users on what actions they can take if the current page does not or only partially fulfills the requirements. Therefore, the order of the links, as well as their placement, are equally essential. For any search engine, advertisements are a key component of the results produced. This is, of course, because advertisements are a source of revenue for the companies. But what's particularly interesting in sponsored search results is that the advertisements themselves are related to the query. In other words, they are contextual advertisements. These contextual ads are more likely to be clicked, which is why advertising companies place competing bids for the high positions. Another reason why popular ads are selected is because studies have shown that the irrelevant advertisements degrade the user experience. In fact, if two search engines return the same list of documents, users will prefer the one with related advertisements as opposed to the one that shows random collection of ads. This is again why contextual advertisement becomes more important. The final slide is going to talk about the importance of aesthetics in information retrieval. A study by Parush et al. Compared user performance in a page with a good layout to one with very poor overall design and layout. It was observed that the page with the good layout actually helped users to perform the search in less time with better results. In fact, aesthetic value is related to user acceptance of pages and also the overall satisfaction with quality, all of which ultimately affects the usability of the page. Therefore, design choices such as balancing the layout, color, fonts, etc. are all a part of ensuring a good user experience. So here is a list of the sources that I used for my presentation. I thank you for your time and hope you enjoyed it.